So when we put the agenda together for this conference, I sat down with Dave Champness, and Dave is a really humble bloke, if anybody knows him, and he hadn't put himself in at all. So I said, I think you should have a slot and present about the estate's focal leads and give some stats. And he said, I'd love to. So he put it together and then did his back in. So now I've been left with it, and I'm not a stats person. So I've cut down some of his stats to stats that I can actually understand. So could we have the next presentation? So I'm just going to do show you the slides, and then I would suggest that that we email these round as well, because you can see where your individual diocese measures up against this. And then, if we've got time, which we should have, Gary Jenkins, who I saw earlier, Gary, who's an estates focal lead, has agreed just to come up and give us a little bit about what estates focal leads do and how his advocacy for estates in Southwark makes a difference. It's the Venn diagram. Dave loves a Venn diagram and a spreadsheet. He absolutely loves them.
If you look at my tatty remote, if you press that button...
Which one? That one?
It's not doing it, is it? Of course it's not doing it now.
It's a very nice remote, though. So there we go. So, so which one?
Forwards, backwards.
Okay.
Back. No, it's not doing it now. There we go.
Forwards. Okay. So, so basically, what that diagram shows is that 1,716 parishes have over 500 social housing homes and are in the bottom 20% for income deprivation. So 1,716 are in that intersection. That shows that there are almost 21 million people living in those 1,716 communities. So 20.68 million people we're talking about. So when we talk about the church on the margins, that isn't a marginal figure. Next. I'm sorry, you won't be able to see this very well, but this is how individual dioceses stack up, and actually there's quite a few of these. So we will email these through for you. But for instance, Manchester Diocese has the national standard is 66% of under 19s. Manchester has 86%. 86% of under 19s across the Diocese of Manchester live in a parish with an estate or a low-income community. It goes down to Carlisle is 54%, so it drops. But we have got Birmingham 83%. So they're really interesting stats. There's also stats there on the percentage of estates parishes with no obvious C of E worship centre. Now that's where the ecumenical aspect that I think it was Greg who mentioned, the ecumenical aspect. The General Synod commitment says a worshipping, serving, loving Christian community, not a worshipping, serving, loving Anglican community. So how do we work better together in our low-income communities and on our estates to ensure that there's a Christian presence and a Christian witness? How can we work better ecumenically? So that's all the stats I'm going to show you. There were other things about deciles and all kinds of stuff. Completely flew over my head, but next time he's here, you'll get those. But we'll send through all those slides for you to have a look at. So, Gary, would you come over and would you tell us, while Gary's coming over, could all the estates focal leads who are in the room or here representing an estates focal lead just stand up? Brilliant. Well done, all of you. Isn't it nice to see that many people who are acting as a bridge between all of this work and their diocese? So thank you. So Gary, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what your role is, and how it makes a difference.
Gary Jenkins, Southwark Diocese, South London born and bred. I was the Estates Focal Lead from the beginning of Estates Focal Leads, but I'm very atypical because for the last year I've been doing the job full-time. And I now have this title, the Dean of Estates Ministry in the Diocese of Southwark. We're either the second or third biggest estates diocese. We've got 180 estate parishes. Shall I say what I do?
Yeah.
So I do three things, and all estate focal leads do some of this stuff, but I've been able to extend some of it. The first one is being an advocate in the diocese for estates ministry at the bishop's staff meeting in various groups, flying the flag, and I've kind of got the bishop's mission or encouragement, in a sense, to constantly call the diocese back to the priority of that. So that is being an advocate. The second thing I do, and this is where I've really benefited the last year for the time, is visiting estates parishes. I love to go into estates parishes. I get the vicars, usually it's the vicars, say, show me around your parish, show me your estates, tell me what you're doing, tell me what your joys are, tell me what your heartaches are. I always do two things. I always at the end say, can I pray for you? Sometimes we're praying in bus shelters, in all kinds of places we've prayed, sometimes in churches. And then I say, can I take your photo? And I put that on the Darton Twitter feed, and it's a way of saying, we know you're there. Okay, we know you're there, we're behind you. What comes out of those visits, as well as that kind of support and encouragement, is huge amounts of cross-fertilisation. And I think there's a lot of that goes on amongst estate focal leads. I can often say to people, you need to talk to so-and-so, or other people are finding that as well. That, in fact, is actually one of the most encouraging things, to say other people are having the same issues. And there have been lots of connections. And where people have built up expertise, I've been able to put them in touch with other people. So there's a whole load of that. It's just fascinating. I remember on one of our estates, sitting in the local cafe with the vicar, he's telling me about some of the hardest times in his ministry, but also joys. And I thought, I'm sitting here with a saint. This is one of God's saints. That's wonderful. The third thing I'm doing is to do with SDF, and we're one of the dioceses that have SDF funding for training estate lay pioneers. And these are estates people who are being trained and equipped to share the message of God's love with estates people. We've shamelessly copied and learnt from Blackburn and the Diocese of York and the Diocese of London, but we have done our own one. And we've got our own course. It's called Magnify. Our guiding text, which we started this conference with, is the Magnificat, and it's just about to start in a number of hubs around the diocese. The vision is to train and equip estates people to share God's love with estates people. We're the course that other courses don't reach. That's our goal. That's what we're trying to do. So pray for us, because it's just about to start. But there's 3 very exciting hubs about to begin, and I hope to see more. That's what we're doing.
Brilliant.